Today is Saturday, May 17, and today I learned that if you are lucky enough to have a good relationship with your siblings and your family, if you do have siblings, then just cherish those memories and cherish those moments and don't take them for granted. So there's a couple of things I learned today that not learned, but was kind of just reminded of that initiated this. One thing is that I am fortunate enough to have a really good relationship with pretty much all my siblings and my family as a whole, and I know that not everyone has that, right? But relationships are the most important thing in this life, right? Relationships with your family and your friends, with God. Relationships I think of relationships as being the most important thing in your life because they yield for you and for the opposite, the other person or people, happiness and joy and fulfillment and purpose and peace. And if you go into deeper, building a relationship with God, that yields eternal benefits, right? So relationships the most important thing in this life. And recently I'm the youngest in my family, so I have a lot of older siblings, right? But they've all been home recently, which usually doesn't happen, right, when everyone is home at the same time. And it's just been so, I take it for granted, the memories and just the good times, good conversations, and just the fact that I'm able to have a good relationship where we can talk about interesting things and love each other and serve each other and just have a good time in the presence of each other is just a really fortunate thing to have. And it sounds kind of cringe and cheesy, but like I said, relationships are very, very, very important. And the ones closest to you, the ones who you live with and grew up with and all those kinds of things are very, you can't take it for granted, right? This doesn't just go for your siblings, but this just goes for childhood friends, or just friends in general, friends who you're really close to. We can take them for granted, and it can be really easy to kind of just forget how valuable a certain relationship is, because you don't realize how valuable a relationship is until it starts breaking, until you don't see them as often, until it's not as frequent, or whatever. And because all my siblings are older than me and they all have their own life, I'm the times when everyone is together and everyone can just hang out are very good moments. And I don't know, every time that everyone is home, I just feel very grateful for my family. And this sounds kind of cheesy, but it's true, right? Relationships are very important, and the people who are closest to you, you cannot take it for granted, and you need to just make sure you're having a good time and you're loving them and you're trying to serve them and just love them and grow that relationship. Even if you've lived together or grew up together for however long, a relationship can always grow, right? Can always be new growth in a relationship. And if you don't have that kind of relationship with your siblings or your family, or maybe you don't have any good friends, then first of all, make sure that your relationship with God is existent, right? Because He is the most important relationship you could have. If you can't tell, I'm a Christian, and I try to strive to live a Christian life and to be Christ-like and to build a relationship with God, even though it is hard because we can't see or hear Him directly in the way that we know how we can see and hear and talk to the people we know, right? But that is the most important relationship to cultivate. But if you do not have a good relationship with your family or friends or whatever, then I would encourage you to build a relationship with God and just, if anything, try to have at least one good, deep relationship with a sibling or parent or just a friend, right? Because they are huge blessings for both sides, and having someone you can trust and who you can love and who you can just like know better, right? This life, we're not meant to live this life secluded, right? This is not supposed to be a life where we are secluded and lonely, right? Even though it can and will be that way a lot of times, but that's not what we were created for. We were created to fellowship and to love, right? The two greatest commandments, right? Love the Lord your God with all of your heart, mind, and soul. And the second greatest commandment is to love your neighbor as yourself, right? So we are not neither, like, both of those things are relationships, a relationship with God and a relationship with your neighbors, who just like the people around you, right? So this is not meant to be a life where we love ourselves and we're always being lonely and we're always spending time with ourselves, even though it will be like that a lot. And a lot of times, like, I like being alone, and it can be very easy to like always be thinking about ourselves because of sin, right? That is the way that we think. We are very selfish people and creatures, right? But we were not created to love ourselves. We were created to love God and love others. So relationships are really important. You need to cultivate them, and if you have those kinds of relationships, then cherish them, be grateful for them, and try to grow them. And if you don't have those relationships, then make the effort to build those relationships, even though it is really hard, but it is very important, right? So you have to go through hard things in order to get a lot of good things, and that's actually what I talked about in yesterday's video. So if you want to watch that, then that'll be linked right here. You can subscribe in that corner. If you found this video helpful, then I would love a like or a comment. Thank you so much for watching. If you subscribe, I will see you in tomorrow's video.